times from parents and teachers whose time is taken up with children, whether they have disability or whether they are autistic, who are taking up the teacher's time in the classroom. These kids have a right to an education by all means, but there is a number of them. These children should go into a special classroom and be looked after and given that special treatment, special attention, I should say. I go on to say, if it were one of my children, I would love all the time given to them to give them those opportunities. I think that we have more autistic children, yet we are not providing the special classrooms or the schools for these autistic children. For the Greens or anyone else to come out and say, I do not believe they should be in our classrooms, is a lie. It is misrepresentation, and as I said, it is for political point scoring. Since my comments, my office has been inundated with not only teachers, but also I have a letter here that was sent to me from a young man who is autistic. He goes on to say, "Hi Pauline, I'm 15 and autistic, and I understand what you meant. I didn't fit into mainstream schools, they hated me, and there just as much as I hated being there. They sat me behind a bookshelf in my classroom because they didn't know what to do with me and banned me from everything. I was banned from camps and excursions and even playgrounds. I was so depressed, I just wanted to die. I had special teachers at times, but they don't stop people bullying you, and they don't stop you from fitting in. I finished primary school and Mum tried to enrol me in high school, and even the assistant principal there didn't want me, and Mum had to go to the education department to get them to help accept me, but I didn't want to go there anymore. Who wants to go to a school knowing people don't even want you before they even know you? Then Mum found a special Catholic school that takes kids with problems, and they included me. I made friends and they let me go on excursions, and I even like schoolwork now. Mainstream school, segregated kids like me, but I know what you're talking about, and there are lots of kids like me that don't fit in from mainstream schools. They don't have time for us and not disabled enough to go to a proper special school either. Sometimes to be included, we need special schools. Let me also add from here an article from a parent from a Miami State school. The mother of an autistic 7-year-old girl is urging better teaching training and flak jackets if necessary after her daughter was allowed to destroy a classroom. Or another one I have here from a teacher from the Northern Territory who actually states, autism is one disability that often presents behavioural issues. The problem comes to a head when the schools have a lack of classroom support, which is most common, and the teacher is left to manage the behaviour by themselves. The biggest problem is that most of the behavioural problems are from students that have not been diagnosed, from families that think the school is going to fix the problem. The schools have not got the funding or the resources to deal with it. If a grade 2 little girl can upend every desk and chair in a classroom, what happens when some of these children reach puberty or young adolescence? So my comments have been supported by the teachers around the country, and also it is quite interesting here that from the Queensland Teachers Union, their comments about autism. The spectrum of it is to increase teacher workloads and responsibilities. They also say that students with special educational needs should be the facilitation of reduced class sizes in classrooms in which these students are enrolled. It also goes on to say that this includes the right of teachers to acknowledge their inability as a result of inadequate training or resources provision to provide an appropriate program for children with special needs. We have to debate these issues. There is a problem in our society. Parents know it, teachers know it. But if you raise anything in this country that is taboo by just a few of those on the left, we are not going to find the answers that we need. I feel for every child in this country. Every child has a right to an education. Every child has a right to move forward with their lives. And I will not back away from my comments.
Seem like you are still describing segregation, which has been described as outdated and wrong. Should you apologise?
No, I'm not apologising for that. You are wrong. I actually spoke to the gentleman this morning, and he's actually said 20 years ago his father at his own cost and his mother fought to bring in these special classrooms for kids with disabilities. It was a great improvement on it. Now, because we've got people out there who have a different opinion, they're starting to wind back the clocks of time, which is not helping at all. Look at the problem that we do have. There are different grades of autism. Now, there is another article that I have here from It's Giant Steps. Giant Steps is an organisation that it's an educational system for children with autism. I know of one lady that she could not get her child into a school because they could not deal with the child. She was able to get her child into Giant Steps. It has been the best thing for her peace of mind, but not only that, for the child as well. So we cannot peel back the emotional side of this, because we cannot allow that to happen. Find the right answers to this so that we are helping these kids. Then also, you give the teachers the ability to be trained. What I understand from teachers, there's no training that goes into this, how to deal with autism in the classroom. An article here, it says the teachers stood back and did nothing. They didn't know how to control a child with autism. And then you have to consider the other children in the classroom as well. So let's take it into consideration. Let's debate the whole thing, and it needs to be spoken about because clearly there is an issue. If I've upset people, if I've upset parents, that was not my intention. My intention is to raise these issues, speak about them openly and honestly on the floor of Parliament. To actually go out there and say that I want to stop children from entering classrooms is disgraceful, it is misleading, and I think that in itself is very hurtful to the parents who do have autistic children.
Senator, do you think you could have phrased your statement better, given that people have taken away the wrong message from what you intended?
Well, you know, they got the wrong message from the headlines from the Courier Mail, who put out a headline saying, ban children from classrooms. You know, that in itself is disgraceful from journalists who should be, if you want to put something out there, make sure you get the true facts. Go and read my speech and I found that a lot of people did not read my words and what I said. So I said this is, and I'll say it again, this is a matter of political point scoring. This is for again today on the floor of Parliament from not only the Greens but also from the Labor Party. And I'm sick and tired of seeing their attack dogs in Murray Watt, who's been lined up because he's Queensland Senator, to actually discredit me, and I won't wear it.
Senator, on another matter, are you still locked in to support Gonski 2.0?
I will be supporting Gonski, yes.
Do you think it was political point scoring by the Coalition as well? Because Coalition MPs have spoken out against what you said as well.
Look, the attacks on the floor of Parliament, if the Coalition don't agree with me, that's their choice. All I suggest to everyone is go and read what I said. Now, people have taken it purely by the headlines. They haven't read what I've said in fully, okay? So they've been guided by the few comments that have been made. That attack didn't come on the floor of Parliament, but what I have been called on the floor of Parliament was not, it should not have been used. I asked a question on the floor of Parliament today, and then it was this topic was brought up. That's not what the floor of Parliament's for.
But it wasn't in all cases. I mean, and you said it again today, you are calling for children with autism and disabilities to be taken out of mainstream classrooms and given a classroom of their own for what you're saying is their own benefit. So how is that taking it out of context?
Well, it is taken out of context and it needs to be discussed. If there are issues in the classroom, teachers, look, let's deal with it. There are different levels of autism. And clearly, the letter here from a 15-year-old, well, he's not 15 now, I don't know how old he is. And as he said, he went through a traumatic time. Aren't you interested in how that child felt at that time? Or are we just going to say keep going through the whole system? Shouldn't we take into consideration the impact it's having not only on children with autism, but the other children in the classroom?
But that's what we're saying. We're not taking it out of context because you are saying segregation.
But you aren't. Segregation, and teachers are saying that themselves, that these children need special care and attention. They are not getting it in a normal classroom. And if they need that special care and attention, then give them. You can actually have a special classroom to teach them at the time during class hours. Then the rest of the time they can mix with the other kids in the playgrounds and sporting events and whatever. You must consider their educational needs to help these kids progress through.
So do you believe parents who think their children have something to gain from being in a mainstream classroom should have the choice to put their kids in a mainstream school?
That's what parents are saying, and a lot of parents are actually saying thank you for raising the issue. Now, under the Gonski, what the Liberal Party are doing, they're actually doubling their funding. So it's going to go from about $690 million up to $1.23 billion over the 10-year period. So they are addressing this needs. Giant Steps are saying, great, thank you, we need this. And I think it is going to be addressed. It was never on the agenda and it was never discussed with the coalition or Senator Birmingham with regards to this in the package. So they understood and they realised the needs to deal with it.
So Senator, have you asked for more money for teachers to help kids who are
No,
autistic?
I haven't. No, I haven't. That was never raised. I have actually, in my speech on the floor of Parliament, which was not a written speech, and it's just a comment that I made, and I'm not backing away from what I said in the full context of what I said.
There are a lot of unhappy mums and dads out there. Words matter and language matters. Have you reached out to any autism groups or parent groups to issue you won't apologise, but to at least extend a branch? And
Actually, I have a lot of teachers and parents who are actually thanking me for my comments that actually it's out in the open now to discuss it, so that schools and the teaching organisation may have a road pathway now to really address the problem, the issue that's out there, instead of burying it.
What about those that have taken offence to the comments?
You know what, in my time in politics, I can't please everyone.
What about to a 15-year-old student who's sitting in a class and has heard what you said and is really offended by
What have I said that is offensive?
It's
no, that is wrong. You are taking it completely out of context. I'm not saying they do not belong there in the mainstream. I'm saying provide other resources if they need that special attention. So there are different levels of autism, and parents will tell you that.
Senator, who should be deciding where these children go?
That is not my job to decide at all. Well, I'm not going to make policy on the run as far as that goes. That is not I'm not professional in that area to decide that. And apparently one of the teachers' notes is they are dealing with it and they don't know how to deal with it at all. So thank you very much.
Do you see why we're confused? Because you keep going back on what you were saying.
And you've just been listening there to Ms. Pauline Hanson, Senator Pauline Hanson there, responding to the backlash and anger against her comments in Parliament yesterday. Now, the One Nation leader had said yesterday that children with autism or other disabilities should be segregated and taught in separate classrooms. She was just clarifying her comments there, still maintaining that there is a need to provide special classrooms and education for autistic children. Ms. Senator, we heard there, also said that the criticism against her, levelled against her, was basically political point scoring. You're watching ABC News. Thank you for your company.